installment of Chuck's captivating chat. So nice to be here with all of you again. A bit of a miracle that I'm here doing a show right now at 5 o'clock Pacific time, 8 o'clock Eastern. Yes, remember that. Um, a hectic day. Today, of course, is the very first day of Mercury retrograde for the April 2024 installment. And already all hell has been breaking loose. I had a little bit of time. I'm trying to organize myself to get all my errands done and everything. And I thought, well, okay, I've got time to go to the post office. I just needed to get a quote on a package I need to ship. Did not factor in. I would get there and the frigging line would be going all the way out the door and part way around the building. Get in there, get what I need done, and then I'm in the car racing frantically to get home. And I get caught in Los Angeles traffic, that wonderful phenomenon that is uniquely our own. Anyone who has ever been to Los Angeles, we're world famous for it. I got caught in it. So I get in the door and I see a message from my wonderful manager, Debbie. Chuck, you didn't post your announcement for your show today. And I'm like, I thought I did that last night. Shit. So I'm frantically making a posting, trying to get it up, and I ended up not doing it right. Anyway, I got here. I had to set up my lights, set up my laptop, all the wonderful things we do so that I can bring this show to you. And I realized, what am I going to talk about today? Usually I have a little time to just sit and meditate and plan some ideas. Today was one of those days. Didn't happen. So I thought, well, this is going to be fun. Let's see. I always say I do this show off the seat of my pants anyway. That's usually the best way that I work, oddly enough, because I always think of myself as someone frightened by that kind of spontaneity and impulsiveness, but yet it seems to work for me. I just ride the wave. But I got here and just barely got all this set up and ready to go. But here I am once again and ready to have some fun with all of you. It is a balmy 64 degrees here in LA. For those of you who asked me about the weather here, that seems to be a popular topic. I'm just checking to see if I have any comments here. I don't know if anybody's watching just yet, but yeah, you're watching. Uh, that's our weather, and that's about as far as I'm going to go with it because it's becoming too much of a cliche every week to keep talking about it. But in any respect, here I am, settled. I'm in my joy. I'm in my happy place. I'm where I love to be. I enjoy doing this show. And I was thinking of the great spiritual writer, Shakti Gawain. I don't know if you have heard of her, if you remember her. She was very big in the 1980s, somewhat into the 90s. She had a major best selling book called Creative Visualization. I'm sure you've heard of that. It's a landmark book. She sold over 10 million copies. She went on to do a whole series of books, meditations, guided meditations on tape. Yes, on tape, and then later on CD. Now it'd be digital download. Um, Audiobooks, lectures. I was very lucky to attend one of her lectures once, and I'll tell you what else I did in just a moment. But Shakti Gawain always said, because this is a woman who gave lectures all the time, all over the world. She said, I never prepare beforehand. Never. I just get up on the podium and I let spirit guide me. I just channel whatever it is I'm supposed to say. And hey, Debbie, I'm glad you're joining. So I've taken a little bit of a cue from Shakti Gawain. It was also my great acting teacher, Dee Wallace, who used to tell us not to. She actually said, don't prepare for a scene. I don't want preparation. I don't want rehearsal. I want you to just get your energy up really high, get out of your head, stop thinking, take a scene, read it cold with your partner, and just channel the emotions and the feelings. And through trial and error, I learned that that's a fabulous technique. It works very well. So Shakti Gawain and Dee influenced me to work this way when I do my show. I have a little notebook here, few little rough ideas, but basically I just start talking. And I thought, well, why not talk about Shakti today? Because it's a fabulous story and proof that creative visualization definitely works. And I had it proven to me in a graphic way, though it took 25 years for the end results. But it was back in 1986. Let's just say I was going through a low point in my life without going into the details. And a very good friend of mine back east Xeroxed some pages out of her book. I think it was Dancing in the Light. I think that I know Shirley MacLaine had a book with a similar title, so I hope I gave the correct one, but I believe it was Dancing in the Light. And I don't know, I read those pages and it was boom. It resonated with me. It just hit me in my heart. And I could feel her talking directly to me. And it instantly made me calm. And it gave me such a sense of peace and such a sense of just knowing everything is going to be fine. I'm okay. Everything's going to be fine. I just knew it from reading those pages. I'm a big believer. I've talked with other writers that words and sentences have energy encoded into them. It's one of the reasons why I still love to have stacks of books in my home. Yes, amongst all my clutter, you're not seeing out of camera range here. I believe that, hey, Joyce, thanks for joining. I believe that books hold energy. Written word holds energy, and I love to have that around me. I'm extremely sensitive to it. And anyway, these words were encoded. They were so encoded and they spoke so directly to me and brought me such peace of mind. I was like, I got to read more of her books. I got to read this whole book. And as luck would have it, I had just moved to West Hollywood, Los Angeles, 10 months earlier. And I had read about the Bodhi Tree bookstore in Shirley MacLaine's book, Out on a Limb, the year previously. And I remember when I read that, I said, I would give anything to go to a bookstore like that. Well, lo and behold, I found out through happenstance where I moved was 3 blocks from the Bodhi Tree bookstore. It was incredible. So I started going there and I got my wish fulfilled. But anyway, I ran down there. I literally ran down there and said, do you have Shakti Gawain's books? Well, yes, we have a whole section here. I just went there and I found Living in the Light. It was Living in the Light, not Dancing in the Light. That was Shirley MacLaine's book. I found Living in the Light, Creative Visualization. I remember I must have bought 4 or 5 of her books that day, fell in love with her, and I started practicing the guided meditations. And it was in the preface to, it was either Creative Visualization or Living in the Light, where Shakti was writing and said, well, as I write this, I am in my living room in Tiburon, California. I have big windows that overlook the San Francisco Bay, the water. I can see the sun setting over the buildings at San Francisco. And I'm on my couch writing. And I thought, I wish I were there. And my first big meditation, creative visualization meditation I ever did was I visualized myself sitting on the couch with Shakti Gawain looking out her window at the view of San Francisco Bay. Flash forward 25 years later, I found out that Shakti Gawain, because of her health issues, could no longer tour. So she decided to continue her workshops in her own home and have us come to her. Well, I just jumped at the chance to do a private workshop with Shakti Gawain in her living room, and that's what I did. But what I did, I booked the workshop, but I also booked a private session with her for the following day, which was a Sunday. And it was that Sunday. It was just her and me, you guessed it, sitting on her couch, looking out the window at San Francisco Bay, where she had written that very paragraph 25 years earlier, and I had read it. And I turned to Shakti away and I laughed and I said, Shakti, this shit works. She loved it. She said, that's one of the greatest creative visualization stories I've ever heard in my life. And I said, thank you, Shakti. And we bonded that day and we became friends and we started emailing each other and communicating. I never got to see her again. Her health was very poor, and of course, she died a few years ago. But I loved her. We connected in a way, that way where you just feel like you've known each other. And you've known each other for lifetimes. That was the connection she and I had. And it's little wonder that's why I resonated with her when I read her books. When I just read those 3 Xeroxed pages, how I felt like I had known her. So I thought, that's something I'll talk about today, my Shakti Gawain story, because it ties in with the theme of doing a show off the cuff, completely unprepared, hoping I can fill at least 30 minutes here. I usually go over. It's rare I do a show that's under 45. In the last 2 weeks, I think I've hit the 1 hour point, saying, "Oh, I can't fill an entire show." Yes, I can once I start talking, and ideas just start flowing to me. Well, I've been working hard on my YouTube channel, and with my gracious manager, Debbie Brady, we are working to build it up and constantly improve it. And yesterday, I had a higher number of videos than usual. I thought, well, why not? Why don't I just go back, look through my phone, my iPad, and see if I've got some things on here that would be interest to people? And I saw the video from about 2.5 years ago when I got Barbara Eden to autograph this genie bottle for me. She actually signed it to Chuck, Barbara Eden, and then wrote genie underneath it. It is an honest to God genie bottle that was held in Barbara Eden's hands and inscribed to me. Well, I had about 8-second video of her actually signing it, and you can hear my voice saying, "Yes, sign it to Chuck." And lo and behold, I got 11,000 viewers, an all-time record. So that tells me I need to do some more Barbara Eden I Dream of Jeannie videos for the future. But I thought, yeah, that's something to talk about. And that is, I'm just looking at the comments here. Oh yeah, Joyce, you worked at the Crystal Voyage. Yeah, I love crystals too. If I can't very well pan this camera around, but I have a lot of crystals in my home. I probably have way too many. I now restrict myself from going into crystal stores because I don't have the sales resistance that I should have. Back in the days when I could afford it a little better, I actually dropped about $300 on one. And that's like, I say I don't want to tell people that. And here I am announcing it on a YouTube show for, I guess, literally hundreds, if not thousands of people can see that. But anyway, getting back to Barbara Eden, where I did this, it was at the Pasadena Convention Center, and where they do these Hollywood shows, memorabilia things, and it was announced. There's a man who makes these bottles. They're exact replicas, and it was announced that he was going to team up with Barbara Eden, and they were going to have their booths side by side. You went to his booth to buy a bottle, and then you walked over to Barbara Eden and you got her to sign it. And so I cherish this. This was, uh, well, I guess while we're on the theme of ridiculous expenditures, I had just sold a lot of my artwork. It was a huge project. It was the paintings that I did for Lucille Ball's childhood home, which is in Celeron, New York. I did paintings of the entire Ball family, circa 1920, because that's how the house has been restored to as it was when they lived there in the 20s. So I painted 8-year-old Lucy, her little baby brother Fred, who was the basis of Fred Mertz when he was about 3.5, 4 years old. Their beautiful mother, Dee Dee, and then Lucy's grandfather and grandmother. So those were the paintings I did. I got a nice payday for that. Now I had to do very responsible things like pay off credit cards, pay off debts, make some repairs to my car. So there was not much left over. I thought I want to treat myself to one thing. And that was my little ridiculous expenditure buying that genie bottle. But what a treat. Barbara Eden was 91 years old at the time, and she still looked fabulous. If you go on my channel, Chuck's Captivating Chronicles, you will see the video. I posted it yesterday. It's a nice up close video of Barbara, and you can see how lovely she still is and still looks like Jeannie. She was posing for pictures for people. Now, mind you, she was doing it for a fee. It was $40 to get a picture, so I passed on that. But she would actually do her blink pose for you. I suppose when you're 91 years old and you have to keep holding your arms up like that over and over, that's not the easiest thing to do, but she did. And I got to talk with her for a little bit while she was signing my bottle because, it takes a little time to do that. So I gave me a good 2 or 3 minutes, and I was asking her about her appearance on I Love Lucy. Just checking the time here. So I'm doing I Love Lucy. I'm sure you know that episode. Any Lucy fan knows that episode. It was during the 6th season, which was the final year for the half-hour shows. It was after they had moved to Connecticut, and Lucy and Ricky and Fred and Ethel and their neighbors, the Ramseys, went to a country club dance. Very Connecticut, very country. And in walks Barbara Eden. She was 20 years old at the time. I don't have to tell you how gorgeous she was. And of course, it was the plot of the show. She comes in all innocent and everything, and sexy and beautiful. And of course, the husbands who have been sitting there complaining about how their feet hurt and they want to go home suddenly perk up and come to life. And they want to dance with her. And Lucy even made a comment. Did you notice how Ricky's accent got thicker when he was around her? Anyway, it was a cute little show. And Barbara Eden, now I don't know if she had her facts correct here, but she claimed to me, she said, well, that was my second ever acting job on television. And she said that the first one was on a TV show with another well-established actress. Now, Barbara graciously would not give the name. She's a classy lady, but I knew who it was. It was Ann Southern. And she said that, quote unquote, the star was so mean to her and so abusive. And apparently it was, well, we know it's Ann Southern, so I'm just going to say it. Ann she was once a very beautiful actress in the 30s and 40s. By the 1950s, she was, shall we just say, of a certain age. She had gained a lot of weight. It was a show called Private Secretary, which is barely remembered today, but it did moderately well in the 1950s. But if you ever catch an episode of that, Ann Southern was always dressed in black. That belief that if you wear black, it makes you look slimmer. I've never quite understood that. It's like, painting a barn black and it's going to look smaller. But anyway, she was always dressed in black, thinking it would make her look slimmer. And they always photographed her where she'd be standing behind a filing cabinet or behind a desk or something, because apparently she was, well, to put it politely, hippie. She had a larger figure. There's no shame in that. But for an actress who had been glamorous and beautiful and before the cameras, that is a legitimate concern. So, of course, here she was working with an actress who was much younger, prettier. And so she was quite abusive. And Barbara Eden said that it was so disheartening because she came there wanting to do a good job, and she wanted to, she was eager to please and do her best. And the experience was even traumatic. It was traumatic. And she was dreading the next time she had to work with an actress like that. And sure enough, her next big job was I Love Lucy with Lucille Ball. And so Barbara said she was just expecting the worst, fearing the worst. Oh, great. Here I go again. And to her amazement, it was the antithesis of her earlier experience. She told me this. She said, Lucy was the dearest, sweetest lady. She was just an angel to her and went out of her way to make sure Barbara was comfortable. She was at ease. She was having a good experience on the show. It really took her under wing and looked after her. And then there was one day, I think it was around the time of a dress rehearsal, or it was an early dress rehearsal. Barbara Eden came in with the dress she was going to wear on the show. She was wearing it. And Lucy just said, are you happy with that? Do you like that dress? Take it off. Take it off. And then Barbara's like, okay. I've crossed a line here or something. I've made her mad or something. No, wasn't the case at all. Lucy said, let's make that dress prettier for you. Give it to me. I'm going to work on it. And Barbara Eden said that Lucy, during her lunch breaks, and anytime she was off the set, she'd be there in her dressing room, and she had the dress on a form, and she had one of those guns where you shoot rhinestones, and Lucy was there putting rhinestones on the dress, doing it all herself because she wanted Barbara Eden to look pretty on the show. But see, Lucy was very smart because Lucy knew that she did not look good unless everyone else around her looked good also. That was a very smart move on her part. Lucy, she didn't care if a person had one line. She would take that person and make them do that line over and over until not only was it perfect, they sparkled. She wanted every person on the show to shine, to sparkle, to be their best. And to me, that was great confidence from Lucille Ball because, come on, we're talking Lucy here. We're talking the greatest comedian who ever lived. Nobody was going to ever upstage Lucille Ball. And I think, as humble as she could be, she intuitively knew that. So that gave her a security just to look out for everyone. So that was the story. She personally put those rhinestones on that dress that you see on the episode. And Barbara Eden said that that restored her confidence and her faith in people. And it also taught her how to treat others on a film set and to extend that courtesy and to pay it forward. And then, oh, I should have had my video camera on. I should have, but I didn't want to invade her privacy too much. I mean, I even asked her permission. You know, that video that you see on my channel, when I said, could you autograph my bottle? I said, may I please have your permission to take a video of this? And she said, oh, sure, it's fine. But I never would have just stuck the camera in her face like that. I thought that would have been so rude. But I wish I had recorded this because I said, please, please, would you say your line from the show for me? And she thought, huh? Oh, yeah, okay. My mother told me to pick you. She said that for me. So I got to have a little I Love Lucy moment there. And you think about it, she's one of the last people alive from that show. I mean, I know Keith Thibodeau who played little Ricky. He's still around. He's 72 or 73 now. And I'm sure there are a few bit people here and there up there, but I mean, Barbara Eden's already in her 90s, and I'd have to think about this, but I think she's the last of like the big guest stars on that show still around to talk about I Love Lucy. So that was great. You know, and the other thing I said to her, and this is where I'm giving my age away, but I told her this. I vividly remember watching the very first episode of I Dream of Jeannie. I was 5 years old. I still remember it. Still remember, we still had our black and white TV at the time, and I never forgot that. Now, I'm sure Barbara could have cared less, but I told her that story. So that was kind of a sweet thing there. Oh, yes, Debbie, you made a point there. Many 1950s child actors are now in nursing homes. Yes, that's true. That's true. I haven't gone to a lot of these Hollywood memorabilia shows in the last few years. I used to go to them where a lot of these people who used to be on these TV shows would sit at tables and sign pictures and autographs, of course, for a little fee, like $10, 15, $20, or for a much more exorbitant fee, you could pose for a picture with them. So I used to see some of those quote unquote child actors looking like they're ready for Medicare. In fact, that's an interesting thing about the Brady Bunch. Literally every every kid of the Brady family, not the Brady Bunch, not the Debbie Brady family, the Brady Bunch. Yes, Debbie. Now could qualify for Social Security. Now that's something to make us all feel old. Now, let's see. I've almost reached a half hour point. So there we go. Here I was worried I wasn't having anything to talk about. There was one other thing I was going to talk about that's Lucy related. And because I got home late and I just barely had time to get everything set up, I was frantically looking on my iPad for this picture I wanted to show for the piece. So I'm going to have to just direct you to my channel. I posted it, I think, about 4 days ago. But it was a story about Lucille Ball. Many do not know. Yes, Lucille Ball. Big surprise there. I have a second one here. But Lucy, yes, Debbie, Marsha. Da, Lucy was an amateur artist. Now, that's a big surprise. That was even a surprise to me. Now, I have read probably every Lucille Ball biography in existence. I was very close with Bart Andrews, who was the author of the I Love Lucy book. I even worked with him on a sequel to it, which I've told before. We had difficulty, politics with CBS and with Random House. We didn't get it published. We came so close, agonizing close. So anyway, I worked on a book on I Love Lucy. So let's just say at one time in my life, I was eating, sleeping, breathing Lucille Ball, I Love Lucy. That's why all this stuff is up in my head right now. But anyway, I had read in one of those books, it might have been Bart's book, that she was like what you'd call a weekend painter. The woman worked very hard. That's no secret. Plus, when she started I Love Lucy at the age of 40, she had just given birth to her first child. Age of 41, had her second child. So she had two young children. She had a smash hit television show. She was, not to go into it here, but the marriage to Desi was falling apart. The woman had a lot to deal with. And she said painting calmed her nerves. I thought, well, where are these paintings? They've got to be around here somewhere. And I'm lucky. I know a lot of Lucy people. I know people who worked with Lucy. I know people who were friends with Lucille Ball. And nobody knew where the paintings were. And I thought, come on, somebody's got to know where an original Lucy is. And if you look at my video on my iPad, yeah, I need to get a more sophisticated way of showing pictures than my iPad, but I was holding it up and there's a picture of Lucy, very proudly holding up a beautifully framed painting that she had done. Lucy had a style that was, American primitive, like Grandma Moses. And that's the way she worked. It calmed her nerves. And that was the only one I've ever seen in my life, was that one picture. And even that was a hard picture to find. It was my friend Shelley Zimmerman who found it and posted it on her Facebook site one day. And I was so excited. And I saw how Lucy did her signature in the corner. And I thought, okay, that's a reason why maybe a lot of her paintings got lost. She didn't sign her name, Lucille Ball. She signed Balzac, Balzac, Balzac. So maybe that's why the paintings got lost. Maybe they just, over the years, maybe she gave them to people as gifts or something, and then that got put away. Those people passed away. That got passed to other people not knowing that Lucy had done these paintings. For all we know, maybe one of them is turned up in a thrift store, a Goodwill or something. But I would love to get my hands on an original Lucille Ball painting, a Balzac. The only other example of artwork I know of, my friend Michael Stern, who was close to uh, Lucille Ball, extremely close. She used to send him Christmas cards, lovely Christmas cards, and she would hand draw the cards. And there was one, I wish I had an example here to show you, where she did a sort of a primitive little self-portrait of herself wearing a Santa Claus hat, and she put some little sequins on it and glued. I could see she had some fun with it. And anyway, Lucy was an amateur artist. And it's just one more facet to this woman's incredible talent. And it goes back to what I always say to people. You don't have to have like an obvious talent for art. Everybody's got it in their head. It has to be all realistic and everything lined up and composed right. No, uh, you can be loose. You can be abstract. That's why children's art is so amazing. When I was studying art in college at Virginia Commonwealth University, VCU, one of my earliest classes, a teacher said, "You guys have no idea the incredible work you were doing when you were 5 years old. You were free. You just let your spirit do whatever you wanted, and we got to get you back to that place." That teacher said, "My job is to get you back to that place when you were a little kid, where you can create from that same place." So I always say to people, just anybody can do this. This ties in. I'm taking a course right now on how to be an art therapy practitioner. I'm just in the early stages right now, but that's pointed out in my class. You don't have to have art talent to make art. In theory, everybody is an artist in their own way. Everybody has something in their soul to express, and you just have to let yourself go free. It was like even when I did my acting class, Dee Wallace said, "Stop overanalyzing, just get in the sandbox and play." And because I do have a trained eye for art, that's what I see with Lucy, with her artwork. It wasn't that it was polished or anything, but I see that childlike freedom. And that doesn't surprise me, because the whole character of Lucy Ricardo was basically a little girl in a woman's body. Really, she was. Lucille Ball said that once, when she was giving a talk at the. This was recorded back in, I think, around 1982 or 83, when it was then called the Museum of Radio and Television in New York. And someone said in the audience, asked her about her acting technique for playing comedy, for playing the Lucy character, and she said, "My technique is just to be a child believer, to just look at the world like a child and believe it with all my heart." And that's what she did. That was the Lucy character. She was like this wide-eyed, scheming little girl, and Lucy took these really implausible situations, and through that perspective, she found the truth. She found a way to make it truthful and real. And because she believed it, she made us believe it. And I'm reminded, see what I mean? I start talking at channel. Uh, what I said at the beginning of the show. Um, Lucy said her earliest influence was this actor named Julius Tannen. And this was back in the 1920s when she was growing up in Jamestown, New York. There was it was when vaudeville theater was very big, where these acts would tour the country and come to the local vaudeville theaters, like George Burns, Gracie Allen, Bob Hope, Eddie Cantor, if those names mean anything to you. Eventually they made it to your hometown, these major, major stars. And Lucy said that her grandfather used to take her every Saturday, and that's when she first experienced the actor Julius Tannen. And he was what was known as a monologist, a storyteller. And she said all he had was just a bare light bulb over his head, a simple light and a stool. And he sat there and started telling stories. And Lucy was maybe 8, 9, 10 years old at the time. And she saw the power that an actor has. She said this man was transporting her to different lands. He was transporting her to different time zones, different places in history. He was making her feel a gamut of emotions. And Lucy said, she said, I had no idea that that was possible. And I saw that as so magical. And that's when I got the idea I wanted to do that. That's when I knew I wanted to be an actress and I wanted to do that same thing. And so when you watch I Love Lucy, remember that. That's where she got it from. Julius Tannen, who taught her the power of belief. You believe it, the audience will believe it. I, I love that. So anyway, before I go, I'm just going to see if I have any comments here. I think I'm actually going to keep this show today under a reasonable amount of time. Does anybody have a question for me or a comment before I sign off? Let's see here. I guess that's about it for right now. Um, I'm happy you joined me. I'm happy to be here every week. It means a lot to me. Thank you for all your support. And I just thank you for the support you're giving me for my channel. Thank you. My subscribers are growing. I love the comments from all of you. And I love interacting with you, getting to know you. Like that song, for getting to know you. But yeah, you all are feeling like family to me and friends. So thank you. Thank you for being there for me. So before I go, I'm just going to remind you, please like and subscribe my channel, Chuck's Captivating Chronicles. And while you're at it, my Siamese cat, Sasha, has her own channel and it's called Sasha's Siamese Secrets. Please check that out. Please like and subscribe. And I will see you here again next week. Bye-bye.